right, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Intramural Champ podcast. My name is Eric, and with us today we have Cole, who likes to take George's money.
And my Jets boss!
And we've got George, who sometimes likes to take Cole's money.
Who won in picks this week?
Yeah, but who's winning overall, asshole?
Oh, God. Just like your
well,
Jets, you get a little comfortable when you get a little bit above 500.
Hey, my Jets ain't even getting over 500 this year, Sally.
Hey, y'all really need to get rid of your coach. He's just garbage. But anyway,
garbage.
before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and move into our NFL weekly summary and our bets and anything else NFL. So we get officially started before our opinions come out.
Before we do that, I just want to give a big shout out to Eric Gillette for editing and putting in the hard work and labor towards this like he does at the factory. Eric, shout out to you. Kudos.
Kudos.
Thank you, sir. What can I say? I like to sit inside and play with computers, huh?
Oh. Ice cream machine didn't work out too well, so it's all good.
So,
anyway.
So what were some big moments this week that y'all liked about the NFL? Anything crazy? Any rants you got going on? George or Cole, I'm sure you got something to say about the Jets.
Did y'all see the best running back for the New York Jets this season last Thursday?
Sam Darnold?
Yeah!
Sammy Boy was running up the field like he was a deer in headlights.
I got a hot sports opinion about the Jets and what they can do if Sammy Boy don't work out. Old Joe Flacco.
Oh.
What's your HSO?
Well, they can get Josh Rosen, the 7th overall draft pick in 2018, on the cheap, and they can try again.
Oh my God!
Been trying again for years.
Well, they have that option. There's a loaded quarterback class, and Josh Rosen's a turd.
Oh man, I was on Twitter. There's a bunch of people saying that if the Jets get the first pick this year, that Trevor Lawrence really needs to think about staying at Clemson another year so he doesn't have to end up in that garbage fire.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to buy it, like for real, if you were a Jets fan and you were gonna go buy a jersey and for your kid, let's say your kid's like 8, what jersey would you buy him?
Oh God.
God.
None. He has to be a throwback, right?
Yeah, it has to be a Broadway Joe or a Sanchez jersey.
Or like a Bart Scott.
Didn't Tebow play for the Jets?
Bart Scott!
Yeah, or Bart Scott. Tebow did play for the Jets. Or Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. I always forget about Favre was there for what, like a year?
Yeah, he was slinging around picks and picks. He was on Vicodin, dude.
I mean, pretty much every big NFL person was, and will be.
Those jeans commercials are keeping him afloat. Thank God for Levi's.
I just want to give a huge shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wrangler. What?
I just want to give a huge shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals.
You're giving a shout out for both teams were pathetic.
Yeah, but the Bengals are expected to be pathetic. The Eagles, you were saying about 2 weeks ago, oh, we're gonna win the championship.
I never said that. I said.
I'm pretty sure
I never said that. I never said that. I never said we're going to the championship. I know the
No. You definitely did, George. You definitely did.
Thank you, Eric.
No, I didn't. I never said we're going to the championship. I don't have that.
Oh, the Eagles are so good. They're going to beat the Cowgirls, and they're going to go and win the championship, and we're going to surprise everybody like we did a couple years ago.
We're going to surprise everyone.
Did you see
Greg Ward?
You said that Glory's going to come back to Philly.
Greg Ward is the new Megatron. I'm just saying it right here, right now, so everyone can see it.
Okay, Megatron's the best receiver in NFL history. There, I said it.
You know what? Hey, you know what? I agree with you. Megatron, one of the greatest Lions. Not only Lions, one of the greatest players to ever play. And for you to say that he's going to be the new Megatron, as a Lions fan, I'm deeply, deeply offended. Deeply offended.
You know what? At least we still got Gronk over there on the sideline doing his best. That's all he can do.
Okay, so getting into...
One thing I will say.
Greg Ward is not the next Megatron. He's 5'11", and he runs a 5'6" 40.
Well, you can shut up, little Sammy Darnold.
No, all I'm saying is Megatron was 6'5", and he ran a 4'3" 40. You're not going to see that for like decades.
Greg Ward can live up to that. Trust
me. He can't. You think he's going to grow 5 inches?
He's not going to grow 5 inches.
He's going to get faster all of a sudden and grow 5 inches, Jorge? Like, what are you going to do? Put him in plutonium?
No. The only thing Greg can do is help Carson out because that's all the Eagles need right now.
But you just switched the expectations. You said he's the next Megatron, and now you're saying all he can do is help Carson out.
That's what I'm saying. He can be the next Megatron. He can, and at the same time, he's going to help Carson out. He's going to help Carson out do what? Not go to the Super Bowl this year, but we're going to figure it out, okay? We've been trying to figure it out for years. What happened in Super Bowl 52? We figured it out. Thanks to Big Nick. And that's where I will say I was just in love with Nick Foles driving the ball with Chicago. He looked fantastic. He should have been the starter since week 1. We had a preseason. Probably Mitch Trubisky would have been shooting guns with our friend Justin Poli. I don't know. But I think that Nick Foles looked pretty good when his stint with Chicago this past Sunday. And I'm glad that they made him the starter from now on.
Yeah, me too. That was great. I will say I was not pleased to have it happen last week because I chose Atlanta for one of my picks.
Why'd you do that, Eric?
Yeah, you got to stop hurting yourself.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Did you talk to my dad?
Atlanta,
His dad? Did they talk you into it?
No, the Bears hadn't been doing anything at that point. And then I was not expecting Nick Foles to be in. So let me go look at my picks for last week because let me just tell you how depressing this was for me. Because I was watching.
Didn't you?
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. But okay. But listen to this. This is what I was going into. So, L.A. and the Bills were playing. Chicago and Atlanta was playing, and Tennessee and Minnesota were all playing. And I was watching all 3 of those games all at the same time. I think it was those games that were on at the same time. But I was watching on Red Zone, and literally all 3 of those picks that I made on those teams, I saw crumble before my eyes in the last minutes of the game, all at the same time on the same screen. It was horrible. It was one of the worst sports moments ever in my life.
Oof, yeah, it was a rough sports weekend for you, my friend, last week.
Yeah, Texas Tech lost to Texas. Then the Cowboys lost to the Seahawks. I had all those 3 teams lose for me at the same time. And the Stars lost on Monday. It was a horrible sports weekend for me. And it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah, what, did Tech lose yesterday?
Oh, you better believe it. Okay,
you answered your question when you asked it, dude.
I know that we don't talk about college football a lot on here, but I gotta go off on a rant a little bit, okay?
Please do.
I've been trying to give Texas Tech's new coach a little bit of a grace period to kind of come in and clean up after Cliff left and, get his own guys that he was recruiting in and just kind of give him a little bit of time. But you know what? I am so done with it because he just, oh my God, his coaching staff sucks ass. And it's not that the kids are not talented. They are very talented, but they're not being utilized the way they need to be. And they're not being coached properly. So yesterday and last week, we had chances to win the game, and then bad coaching calls really was what ended up really f***ing us over. And so these guys come in, and they a lot of his offensive coordinator him came from Utah State. They talk about, they're all these really coach of the year from that area, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but it's like Mountain West. Who cares? Like, it's Utah State. They're not playing the same caliber of football that we're playing out here. Not that Tech is, crazy good at football or anything, but we play places like OU and Texas that are actually really good. And I just don't think that he was ready for the challenge to come in here. And so I'm just I'm tired of it. We're wasting the potential. Like, we have a really good kid, really good quarterback that we have right now, and he's just, 2 years of his career have just been wasted. And it's just, I don't know, it's terrible to see. But I'm done with it. I'm just so pissed. I'm still gonna watch. I still support the team, but these coaches are jokers.
Well, Eric, I like what Craig Miller says about Texas Tech's football tradition.
What does he say?
It's pathetic.
Yeah. No, I think we're cursed after we fired Mike Leach.
Texas Tech is the Browns of Texas college football, man. I like Texas Tech too. I don't like them as much as I used to. Like, I'm still a fan, but I don't watch college football anymore. But like, I still rep them.
UTEP are the Bengals.
UTEP are the Bengals. UTEP are like the Jaguars.
Yeah, you got a point. Either the Bengals or the Jaguars. Yeah.
I mean, I think if we had, because I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, our offense was always really good under him, and we had really good quarterbacks that he was able to develop and everything. But our defense suffered just because that wasn't his focus. And I think that if we brought someone in that could kind of match that same offensive performance and style, but we also had someone who was really good on defense because we've got the players that can do it. It's not a player thing, I don't think anymore. We've had some decent recruiting, and even Cliff his last year did some really good recruiting, and our defense did perform better. But I don't know. It annoys me that it's not a player problem and it's a coaching problem. I just don't know why we pour so much money into having these joker coaches. But anyway, that's probably not important, and maybe we'll cut that part out. But I just had to get it out.
That's totally fair.
Going to picks, Eric, you lived down to the spread last week. The Rams screwed you.
Yep.
The Vikings screwed you.
Yep.
And who else screwed you?
The only team that didn't were the Chiefs.
You bet on the Lions, didn't you?
Lions did cover, though.
The Lions did. They won. They outright won. I don't think Arizona's as good as people think if the Lions beat them.
I did not bet on the Lions last week. I bet on.
I did.
I bet on the Chiefs, and I bet on San Francisco because, that's why would I not?
I bet on San Francisco too.
Yeah,
I want to say about everybody.
I want to say something about the Chiefs. I was being a homer because I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan.
We
when
can tell
I made
you're
that
being a
pick, and I am a huge homer, and I'm proud of it. Okay, Greg Gutfield, give me the time to talk.
Don't call me that.
Anyway, when I was watching that Baltimore and Kansas City game, it really just proved to me I think Kansas City can be a dynasty, honestly. Patrick Mahomes is just unstoppable. He's just plain up unstoppable. And the way Lamar was looking against him, I'm not saying that Lamar doesn't have a promising future. He does, but against that Kansas City team, he's gonna need probably a year or two in his pockets so he can beat him before he can get to a Super Bowl. Because wow, if I wasn't amazed already with Patrick Mahomes, this game just proved it even more that he deserves that money, that big ass contract that he got, and more so he deserves all the Super Bowl runs that he's going to be getting these next couple years.
100%.
The Chiefs, they're the Ravens' kryptonite.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kansas City. We gave you Andy Reid.
Dude, you're a Bucks fan.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep talking about the Eagles, George.
What?
You like the Bucks?
Well, gentlemen, would y'all like to review the standings for our picks?
Yeah, why don't you lay it on us how bad we're losing to you?
Oh, I'll lay it on you.
Greg Gutfield.
Eric is 4-8 after last week. He went 2-4 in week 2. Or
at least I'm consistent.
Week 3, I'm sorry. Wait, last week was week 3, right? I'm losing track.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Eric went 2-4 last week. Overall, Eric is 4-8. Jorge pulled a rabbit out of his ass, and he is 4-2 for last week's record, making him overall 5-7. And then the only person here with a close to winning record is myself at 6-6. After I went 3-3 last week, and we have our standings.
I think this week my luck is going to change. I feel pretty good about my picks.
Why don't you announce them?
This is kind of the numbers were crazy this week, and
they were.
Now let's clarify. Before we made our picks by Thursday night at 7 p.m. We do that every week, so it's before the first games, so that way everything's we don't have any sort of interference with anything, and it's fair.
Well, the line changes too. Like if Jorge made a pick on Sunday and we made ours on Saturday, it could be either more favorable for us or Jorge, depending on how the lines switch.
Yeah, and that's you're right about that. And this is also before any COVID cancellations or postponements or anything. So we will, we'll kind of address that in a little bit, but. Pre-Thursday night picks, I took Chicago plus 2.5 against Indianapolis. I took Baltimore at minus 13 against Washington. I feel like that was a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
They beat shitty teams. They beat them bad.
Yeah, they do. I'm taking Seattle minus 6.5 against Miami. I'm taking New Orleans negative 4.5, and I hate to do this against my Lions, but I'm doing it.
Smart pick, Eric.
Yeah, Kansas City minus 7 against the Patriots. Now that is a game that is postponed. It may be played this week. Yeah, it all depends on the testing and how all that comes out. But hopefully that'll be this week. And then San Francisco minus 7 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I feel pretty confident in those. I don't think I made anything that was too sketchy like I did last week. Definitely not betting on the Cowboys anytime soon.
Yeah,
I don't bet on them unless I have to.
Well, I think I think Eric and I learned our lesson with that. especially last week. More so me because it was against the Bengals.
Well,
Damn it.
Jorgito, would you like to announce your picks this week?
Yes. I after a strong outing, coming out 4-2 from last week, I'm choosing my Bucks -7 against the Chargers. Choosing Seattle -6 against Miami because Miami just does, Fitzmagic can only last so long.
It's like French bread pizza.
Exactly. Just like Bill Simmons was saying. I got Baltimore -13 too against Washington. I got Chicago +2.5 because I believe in Nick. I got New Orleans -4.5 against your Lions, Eric. And I chose New England +7 against Kansas City. This was before the whole COVID outbreak. Granted, it's still my pick. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I was really looking forward to that Cam against Patrick Mahomes matchup.
Oh, I know I was too.
Me too.
I'm pretty pissed it's not going to happen.
I really wanted to see how that played out. I was looking forward to that game today at 3 o'clock. Like, I'm looking forward to the Cowboys game, but man, that 3 o'clock game was pretty sexy.
Yeah, because Cam is daddy. He started. I don't want to say he started it, but this new and upcoming generation of athletic quarterbacks. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was Cam daddy right there that started all that.
I don't know as much about the NFL as y'all do, but wouldn't you think Aaron Rodgers may have started that before them? Because he was. I mean, they don't run him as much per se, but like he's the first quarterback I can remember in the last decade that could extend the play and run if they wanted him to. They don't have pure running plays for him like they did Cam, but he's been there a little bit longer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Actually, a lot of people don't give him credit because, like you said, he's not as explosive. Yeah, and he's not as explosive, but he can extend the play.
But when he was younger, they ran him a lot more with Mike McCarthy. I mean,
yeah,
my memory could be rose-colored. I also like Aaron Rodgers. I don't like the Packers. They always beat the Cowboys, but that's just kind of how I remember it. I think you got a point. 2010, 2011.
That's actually a very good point.
I think you've got a point there, but I think as far as like the level of running and the way they utilize him, I really do think that George is right about Cam. I mean, I do think that Aaron Rodgers definitely does extend the plays out, and at least he used to, they used to run him a little bit more, but not quite the way that they do Cam or some of these other younger quarterbacks. But there's a good point.
Yes. Well, Mr. Cole, would you like to say your picks?
Well, yeah, I'm already 1-0 this week so far. I chose.
Come on, it's okay.
I chose Trey Gillette's Broncos +1.5 points against my Jets, and I know Trey, you're probably listening. You're talking a lot of shit this week, and look, my Jets lost. I'll take the L and I'll move on. The Rocky Mountain Oysters in Denver are great, and they got great bud, and they got decent food. I mean, my cousin went there on vacation recently, had the time of his life. Moving on, that makes me 1-0. I took Houston minus.
The strip clubs.
We got the Trade Your Best Wide Receiver Bowl coming up next, which is Houston versus Minnesota. And I took Houston -4.5. I think they have a better team than Minnesota does. Minnesota has a better defense, pretty well rounded, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins to beat Deshaun Watson. I got Tampa Bay like Jorge does, -7 points. I don't see how the Chargers can beat them with Justin Herbert. I don't see much from the Chargers. They have some good defensive players, but I like that as a favorite. Also, like Jorge, I got Seattle -6.5 against Miami. Miami's a bunch of clowns. Bad team. A little bit better than the Jets, but that's not saying much. I got the Rams -13 against the Jason Garretts, a.k.a. the Giants. And we'll discuss this in a minute, but if we bet on this, if we don't, whenever I made the pick, everything was normal because there wasn't a COVID outbreak. But I took Kansas City -7. So those are my picks for the week, and I'm going to come out a winner. I'm already 1-0. Who knows? I'll be 5-0 or 6-0 by the time the weekend's. Kind of like my Jets can make the biggest comeback in American football history and go 12-4 and go to the Super Bowl and win out.
Yeah, Yankee. What are you trying to say there?
Don't call me that.
Miss Rex Ryan a little too much, huh?
I do miss Rex Ryan and Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch Sanchez.
LaDainian.
And LaDainian Tomlinson.
So let's talk a little bit about these, what we think about all the COVID outbreaks within the Titans. We also, Kansas City and Patriots have COVID on both of their teams. What are we thinking about that? What are we feeling about that? We got any hot sports opinions about this?
It was only a matter of time.
For sure.
I'm hoping this means we get football on Tuesday because that'd be great. The NFL has a lot of time to milk if you think about it. They're not competing with the NBA in January like they would be, or October, November, December. They're not competing with hockey at that time, and they're competing with baseball as per usual until the end of October with the playoffs. But they have the most time to milk. So
well, I feel like most people
hopefully
would
this
rather
means we
watch
get
football
more.
than baseball.
Exactly, and hopefully that means we get more football for a longer period of time, especially with the uncertainty of what's going to happen with the NBA and when they're going to start in the NHL and yada yada yada.
That would be great, honestly. I'd love to see more football. Like you said, I'd like to see some football on Tuesday, maybe a Wednesday night game. I don't know. Just I'd like to see some football more often. Granted, not because of COVID or just because players are getting COVID and they have to postpone games, but I think you touched on this the last episode, Cole. But it really gives the NFL time to rethink the way they organize games, and I mean NBA, NHL, but also the NFL, because like they have the most time to work with. And now they're in this little pickle where, players are getting positive. What a surprise.
Well, that's I'm glad that they've been as strict about their testing and doing it as often as they have been. I think that is really good because ultimately, testing and knowing who has it and some of the stuff they've been doing as far as in their facilities and who they let in the locker rooms and all that. I think that's a good move. But one thing I've been worried is that they don't have any sort of bubble or restrictions outside of their facilities or their games. As far as I know, I mean, I think that the players, I mean, you can't really tell the players what to do. They're going to do whatever they want anyway, which is why we're kind of seeing some of this. And I've been sort of disappointed with the NFL that they haven't implemented some sort of bubble or something. Obviously, it's harder with the amount of players that you have for a whole league rather than just, doing your finals and your postseason in a bubble like the NHL and the NBA did. So there's going to be some stuff they were going to have to figure out anyway. But I think it's going to be interesting to see if they do going forward. I think apparently they have some secret plan or something they have to enact if this gets really bad. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it is, or if it's even real or just a rumor. But I'm interested to see what happens going forward. And I hope that all these players stay healthy and that we get to keep seeing some football because this is in the highlight of the fall.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know that they have like a plan, or they've been talking about maybe doing playoffs in the Super Bowl. Well, obviously the Super Bowl is always where it needs to be, but I wouldn't mind seeing some playoff action in Chicago. I think that's a good midway point for all teams. It wouldn't be bad if shit hits the fan or whatever. I just meet halfway, wherever you're coming from, west, east, south.
So one thing that I've been thinking about, and I know that they're doing baseball. They're doing a lot of the postseason stuff in Arlington at the new park. But I thought that doing like an NFL bubble, at least some teams or something like that in the Dallas Fort Worth area would be useful or like be a good idea because it's spread out. There's plenty of hotels in that area right around where the stadium is. And then if you need a practice facility, what better place to come and if you need football fields? That whole area has dozens of them, hundreds of them probably from all the football, high school football teams and all this other stuff. So there's practice facilities they can use. I think even the Star where the Cowboys have their practice facility, it's like right next to or connected to a hotel as well. So, I think they have, stuff like that in other cities as well. So I'd like to see them utilize something like that, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
I like that though. I'm really hoping that, like you said, with baseball, that they're using the new field. Like that area in Dallas is beautiful. Like they have so many resources available, especially for football. So
and even the Rangers' old stadium, they've turned that into an XFL stadium. So they have the football field. You could practice there. They've got options, and I'm sure that I'm sure that Jerry Jones would love to make more money, so he'd make the accommodations available.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, why don't we move into NBA Finals talk? I don't feel like there's a whole lot to talk about here, but I'm glad with the results so far. I mean, I wish I would have. I want everyone to be healthy so that there's no, like, if if Miami was healthy, you know, the Lakers wouldn't be doing so well, blah blah blah. But I don't know. What do y'all think about it?
I mean, so far it's been all Lakers, and it's probably how it's going to be the next 2 games or 3 games if the Heat can pull a rabbit out of their ass in one game. But since Bam Adebayo, he's just such an crucial absence to the Heat, especially with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is playing some of the best basketball he's played in his whole entire career right now. I would argue that he may end up getting Finals MVP if the Lakers do pull this off. I mean, LeBron is playing excellent as well, and they're kind of putting LeBron in a shadow in a way, but just because it's Anthony Davis's first actual postseason run. So
yeah,
it's a big deal for him, and he is honestly proving himself. And I think that, in my opinion, I love this Anthony Davis-LeBron combo. LeBron has been with so many other players. This has probably been my favorite, and it's painful to say because it's the Lakers, but it's been my favorite to watch because those two has just worked so well together. And this year, they've really kind of hit that chemistry, especially in playoff Rondo coming in through. He facilitates both of them, especially Davis. That's hard to beat. And you don't have Bam Adebayo. Who's gonna defend Anthony Davis? Schoolgirl Kelly Olynyk? Jesus.
Cool girl.
No,
Kelly
I
Olynyk
100% agree.
Kelly Olynyk cannot play defense.
No, he can't.
I think we're seeing something really special with Anthony Davis and LeBron for sure. I do feel bad for the Heat because I really was impressed with their playoff run so far, and I would really like them to be healthy so that they could, you know, fully say, you know, they gave their all, and it's not that hanging question. But you know, if this is a Lakers sweep, or if they are going to win, which at this point probably looks like they're going to, you know, maybe that'll give them a chip on their shoulder that they can use to get back in to the same situation next year and prove themselves. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I obviously have been wanting the Lakers to win since the Mavericks got out. It's been interesting.
I don't mean to sound like a homer, but I think the next couple of years is going to be Lakers Celtics in the finals. I really think so.
I don't think the Celtics go to the finals.
I think they will. They have enough depth. They're gonna pick up free agents from this offseason. They're gonna be in the finals. I can guarantee you within the next 5 years they're gonna be in the finals at least twice. Not twice, they're in there
twice.
At least once.
I think making some deep playoff runs is definitely in the picture, but I think they're really gonna have to pick up
a center.
You know, another really good free agent, you know, some other
like Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I don't want to sound like a homer, but Celtics have that depth. Just like the Miami Heat, just like Bill Simmons was predicting from the very beginning that he said, I can see the Heat and the Celtics in the conference finals. Why? Because they have the most depth of the East.
Well, he was saying the
Toronto
whole year that he would see the Heat and the Heat and the Clippers.
What?
I said the whole year he was predicting the Heat and the Clippers.
The Heat and the Clippers.
That's what he predicted. Obviously, he got half right, but
yeah, he got half right. I'm surprised he chose the Clippers, honestly, but
I'm not in hindsight. I mean, hindsight, I'm surprised, but at the time, I'm not. They had the most depth.
It's true. Out of the whole West, and he was just choosing depth out, most importantly, out of anything. But like I said, it's not me trying to be a homer, but I really do think that the Celtics are going to be in a finals within the next 5 years, whether it's 1 or 2. Okay, but they will be in at least 1.
Well, I guess we're just going to wait and see on that. But, yeah, you know, maybe you're right.
Huge shout out to the Philadelphia 76ers for hiring Doc Rivers. They're probably going to choke twice. It's okay. I really hope that Coach Rivers can get his luck back in the Eastern Conference, just like he did with Boston in 2008.
I think that was a great hire by them, and they were smart to act fast on it.
Yeah. As much as a lot of people argue that Doc Rivers maybe for now he's not as good as he used to be. He didn't get the Clippers anywhere. I think he's a great coach. He's smart. He's a smart coach more than anything. And I don't know. He just had a couple years of bad luck with the Clippers. A lot of it was not managing the players right, granted. But I think he's learned from that. And I think that these probably his final 5 years of his coaching career will probably be successful with the 76ers. And I hope they're successful because I do wish him the best. He is a good coach. He was a great player when he played. And shout out to his son too. His son was playing great basketball with Houston, but I just like Coach Rivers as a person in general.
Well, I can't wait till James Harden's traded to Milwaukee.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Then you Celtics are going to have something to say about that.
We'll
you
see
sound like
that.
a typical Celtics fan when you say we're going to make the finals in the next 5 years. You got some upcoming competition coming in, and it's going to be a stronger conference than you've seen in years. You hear it here first.
All about the depth.
I don't know, man. We're seeing that superstars beat depth right now in the finals.
Very true. Very true. But Boston's going to be in the finals to chase that 18th banner. We're going to get it. We're going to get it.
You sound like a homer.
I am being a homer. I said it. I clarified it.
All right, homer call of the week.
Oh, I just got a notification. The Pats and Chiefs are going to play Monday.
Oh, cool.
It looks like. I think that also depends on a couple more negative tests to come in, but I believe
negative testicles.
Yeah, equal opportunities.
Garoppolo
right.
Jr. is going to tear it up.
So, if you have been on our social media, either on our personal or our Intramural Champs Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you may have seen that I teased that we were going to explain why we always talk about the Bucks, the Jets, and the Lions. And if you've known us for the past, I don't know, year and a half or so, you know that we're always talking about these teams on social media or between each other. And we want our audience to understand what's going on. We don't want to leave anybody in the dark. So I thought it was only fair that we come up with the truth about what's going on with all that.
Exactly.
So,
we're not
phonies here.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, we're not being evasive like the President of the United States.
Oh, he went there. All right. So I think to really start to understand where this all came from, you need to know a little bit about us. So Cole, George, and I have been friends for 3, 4, 5 years. How long has it been? I don't really know.
6 months.
4 years.
6 months. we met each other 3 weeks ago when we started the podcast. But ever since we've been friends, we have always kind of made up fake stories about people that we knew or each other just because we think it's funny. So, Cole might say, "Hey, Eric, you remember that time that we did this, this, and this?" And it's totally fake, didn't ever actually happen. But he, tries to play it off that it is, and then, other people get involved and we think it's really funny. You can kind of tell we did a little bit of that last week with our interview with young Daniel. For example, we said that he really loves that band Lady Antebellum. Just
Lady
stuff like
A.
that. Lady A.
We just been.
Excuse me. I guess it's our last episode of the Interval Chat podcast.
Just kidding.
But we've made jokes like that with each other since we became friends. For a while in our greater friend group, we would make up fake stories and send it out to everybody about one or two particular people about these fake stories just because we thought they were funny, and that just kind of became our way of making jokes and our humor, and that's kind of what kind of sparked all this. But the real catalyst of our NFL team choices was George, so I'm gonna let him take over and kind of explain it out from there.
Yes. Thank you, Monsieur Eric. But before I get to that, Cole, you really need to get rid of those Gene Simmons VHS exercise videotapes. They're getting a little old and they're not that classy. But how this all started was that I would go to church every Sunday, aka the Buffalo Wild Wings in Abilene, to watch my birds fly. And for some reason, this Buffalo Wild Wings had a random helmet, a Jets helmet in a glass case. And when I'd get there, I had my shout out to my favorite server there, Ryan, who was probably cool in high school. But, Ryan would treat me well there. And, I just get to talking with him. And then one day I'm just pointing out the Jets thing. And he's like, "Why do you have this here?" And he says, "Well, I really don't know. It's just kind of a random thing that they brought in when they were building it." So I was like, okay. And then I remember I texted you, Cole, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, for some reason, that kind of reminds me of maybe a spare backup quarterback that probably just left it, or they just got it from an auction or whatever. So I said that if Cole would be an NFL player, he probably would have been a backup quarterback for the New York Jets. And his most whopping and impressive stat line would be when he would replace Mark Sanchez in a game, or probably Geno Smith while he got hurt. and he'd have a whopping 185 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. His longest throw being 30-yard reception to LaDainian Tomlinson back in the glory days. But that's just kind of how it all started. And then I just started saying that Cole is actually a closet New Yorker. That is a fact. You just have to come to terms with it.
Fact.
It's not a fact.
You have to
You
come.
love
You
New
just have to
York.
come to terms. Yeah,
I do
You
love
love
New
New
York.
York. You went there last fall, and you just couldn't stop talking about how much you loved it, how great it was.
It is great.
Yeah, you said you love the gritty working class nature of it.
I like how everyone's a jerk to each other. That was cool.
I'm glad you were able to chant out your JETS Jets chant freely.
I did that multiple times and no one gave a shit. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how it all started. I ascribed the Jets to Cole. After I said the backup quarterback thing, I just started saying, he's a Jets fan. He's a Jets fan. And the whole point of this is that we ascribe pathetic teams to each other. And then I was saying, well, Eric's a very hard worker. If you don't know Eric works really hard. He works hard at Texas Tech University. But even before that, he was always a family man trying to provide the best for his family. So, Eric really has that, that blue-collar grit. So I just thought, it'd be perfect if he'd be a Detroit Lions fan. And he'd have his crew, the Lion laborers, they all work at the factory. And it's just a beautiful tradition that they all have of watching Lions football and unionizing more than anything.
I love my laborers. I'm a regular Tim the Toolman Taylor, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's all about the grit and the hard work. That's why Matthew Stafford should be canonized. Right, Eric?
He should be. I don't know why he isn't yet.
For sure.
That's kind of how it all started. It all started with a random Jets helmet at a Buffalo Wild Wings in Abilene, Texas.
And like with everything we do, we have taken it way overboard since then. To the point where we've assigned different people in our lives different teams. So like my dad and my brothers, Broncos fans. Not really sure why, but they are, and so we continue with that.
And my dad and Jorge's dad are Atlanta Falcons fans.
To the teeth.
Right?
A certain unnamed, very large ex-Sunday school teacher of ours is a Steelers fan.
He tries to compete with your laborers, which is not cool.
Yeah, not cool at all.
And my brother is a Giants fan.
That is true.
My Uncle Ed, he's a huge Bucks fan. Where did this all Bucks thing come from, Cole? I know it's hilarious when you first ascribed that team to me. Where did it come from? How did you come up with the Bucks with me?
Well, you thought of piss poor teams for Eric and me, so I was thinking of a piss poor team for you about a year ago, which they're good now, ironically. And, I know there's a big Cuban community within Tampa Bay and Florida, and you really love Cubans for some reason. You never stop talking about them. It's really annoying, to be frank. And you love the culture there in Tampa Bay, too. So I just thought you and Ed are the Tampa 2.
Tampa 2. The glory's coming back to Tampa. I've been saying it every week, and I'm going to say it again this week. The glory's coming back to Tampa.
Well, why the fuck are you saying that my dad and your dad are Atlanta Falcons fans?
Just going back to the piss poor team, I just thought of a team that, just like it is, to get your hopes up, bring them all down, just like that loss to the Patriots a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was
which I'll never forget.
Falcons. Falcons
Yeah.
Nation.
Yeah, that's why they are. And they're just huge influencers in the hip hop community in suburban Atlanta too. Our fathers.
Yeah,
I gotta say, they got good hip hop coming out of Atlanta. Always have.
My dad likes hip hop and the PJs.
The
and the Cleveland show.
This is my god.
So we're the big boy.
This is even extended into real life. So I don't think I've talked about it before, but my wife and I have a son who was born earlier this year, and while my wife was still pregnant with him,
my wife,
Cole sent us a very nice gift of some Detroit Lions little bodysuits for the little man to wear, which I will say he actually does wear them. He does wear our little laborer.
Hey, Eric.
So
I'm gonna get your son Lion stuff until he's like, I don't know, until he doesn't want it anymore. Like so when he's like 5, 7.
Honestly, I love it. And actually, we may be using one of those Lions bodysuits for Halloween this year. So I don't know, we'll see. But
hey,
Oh, he's gonna be Matty Stafford for Halloween.
Yeah,
Eric.
his original name was gonna be Stafford, actually.
Oh, like I said, just canonize the man. Frankie Sabaka and Nikki G. Shout out to Nikki G.
Yeah,
Shout out to
actually, I do
Nikki
want
G.
to mention that. So one of our other things, we also ascribe different. So this extends out into all sports. It's not just football. So they say I'm a Detroit Pistons fan, but also that
And
I'm an
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
And a
if anyone
Sooners fan.
if anyone actually knows me, I hate Oklahoma. I hate everything about Oklahoma. So it's also kind of a way to just kind of make fun of each other. They say I'm an OU fan and Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and one of my dear friends, the best man at my wedding, Nick. Shout out to Nick, and I'm hoping you're listening. But he's even got his own little character and his own persona and all this. So we call him Nicky G. He's a Thunder fan, of course, because he lives in Oklahoma City. But he's also part of the laborers with me. So it's me and Nicky G up there running the old factories up there.
He's a hard worker. Nikki G
Eric.
works hard. He puts in his 12 hours.
Eric, we all know damn well that your favorite part of the year is rivalry week, whenever the NBA is going on, and you and Nikki G can go on the last November of college football season before the playoffs and the interconference bowl games or whatever they're called, the championship games, and you can watch the Oklahoma State Cowboys, which is Nikki G's team, and he wears his assless chaps, and you dress up as a Sooner, and you have your big cowboy hat on, and they call you Saturday Night Cowboy, and you go and watch the Sooners play his Cowboys, and then after that, you'll go and watch the Oklahoma City Thunder play whoever they are in a hometown, whoever they're playing at home, and typically, you always wish that they play the Pistons. We know that happens at the last November of every year. You'll drive all the way down from Detroit and do that. Don't act cute.
All right, you found me out.
We know this
And it's
happens.
True.
We all know that you're a huge Tulsa 66ers fan too, Eric. You just can stop hiding that.
Oh boy.
You don't have to lie to us.
Well, I am all about truth with this podcast. So yeah, I will admit that. I will admit that.
Shout out to Matty V too.
Man,
Hanging on, buddy.
did you peg him for a Lions fan?
Never.
Eddie
Never.
a Lions fan.
Never. Yeah, that's just a little bit of an insight into our whole fake teams. Although I will say, I don't think I'm alone in this, but I think our fake teams are starting to become, a little bit of a, maybe a little second team for us, second favorites.
We're having
Hey, you're
Jets
not
mask.
wrong. Those Jets.
But yeah, so that's a little bit into our history of our fake teams. We're never going to stop doing this, so if you ever get confused, come back, listen to this. It'll all make sense. But anyway, let's so for our next segment, I wanted just to talk a little bit about music. That was something we haven't really talked a whole lot about. And the thing that kind of triggered this for me was when we were starting up the podcast a few weeks ago. We were coming up with trying to find some intro music and outro music for the podcast, and all of a sudden, all of us were just sending each other Rolling Stones songs, and I thought that was really interesting. I hadn't listened to them in years, so I don't know, just made me want to talk about music a little bit. But I gotta say, what's that song called? The one that you sent, Cole? Was that you that sent it, Cole, or was it you, George? The Rolling Stones song with Jimmy Page?
It was Cole. It's called Scarlet.
Yeah. It's a really good song.
Yeah, I like the guitar riff in it. It was released, I think they recorded it. I don't remember the exact year, so don't hold me to it, but it was like 65 or 67. And they recorded it then in a full jam session in studio. I think they shared the same studio as what Jimmy Page was in Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't release it until like last month, maybe 2 months ago. Can't quite remember. But yeah, the guitar riff, and it's awesome. It's like, about a minute and a half?
Yeah, I love that intro.
It's really good, and it honestly would have been perfect. And the way it is with YouTube and different platforms that were posted on, you can get copyright infringement, and they'll take all your shit offline. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to do any of that, put any of that in our intro. So it's just kind of just royalty-free music. But it sparked my interest in the Rolling Stones again. So I I have a question for the both of you, and I think that we'll all probably agree on this. But out of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, which one do you prefer?
Rolling Stones all the way, man.
The Rolling Stones. I don't like the Beatles.
Yeah, me too.
Hate the Beatles.
I like the Beatles, but just as far as like everyday listening goes, I definitely prefer the Rolling Stones. But and I like the Beatles, but I think my favorite album they did was like the one that was the most unlike all the rest of theirs, which was the Rubber Soul one. That was the one they did after like they went to India and were with doing meditation and stuff over there. That's probably my favorite Beatles album, and it's like unlike the rest of their music. So I don't know. I mean, I like them. I appreciate what they did for music and everything, but Rolling Stones is just more like when I think of like classic rock or something like that. It's always like Rolling Stones, The Who, Led Zeppelin, stuff like that.
Pink Floyd a lot.
Oh hell yeah!
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon album is great.
Oh yeah, classic stuff.
And it's big shout out to Keith Richards. Oh my god, that guy's a bad boy. You cannot die.
How he's still alive, I have no idea. My only guess is that all the drugs he did somehow preserved his body like formaldehyde and frogs, like in science class. And somehow he's just living off of cigarettes and I don't know, cheap booze. But actually, so I've got two stories that I want to tell. So this is a shout out to your cousin Bubba's Bills Cole with this story. But there's a guy I went to two high schools when I was in New Jersey, and the second school I went to, we had this counselor that would come and help, mentor like troubled kids or whatever. And me and my brothers all transferred in from a different school, and so we didn't have any friends, and it was a really tiny school with maybe like, I don't know, 150 students total in it. Like my graduating class was 23 kids, so it was real tiny. So we didn't know anybody. These kids grew up together, so we ate lunch together, the three of us. And I was a senior, my brother Jeff was a sophomore, and my brother Pete was a freshman, so it was kind of weird that we were all sitting together. But there's this counselor that would come in to help troubled kids, and his name was Tom Bill. And he was super cool, and we just kind of would always talk about music and stuff with him, and he was like a huge Pink Floyd fan. Well, it turns out, I didn't know this until like after I'd already met him, but he used to play for the Bills as a quarterback back in like the 90s or the 80s or something like that. Yeah, it was really cool. And he's like this really big dude. I mean, he looked it. I mean, he was gigantic. But yeah, he was a really cool dude. But anyway, he was always talking about like really obscure Pink Floyd songs. And so that was kind of where I learned about some of the more obscure stuff. No, unfortunately. But my other music story that I thought was interesting is so when you guys started sending Rolling Stone songs, I was like, oh shit, I don't really want to listen to Rolling Stones. I haven't listened to Rolling Stones in like 3 years. And I used to listen to them all the time. But when I lived in North Carolina, the first job that I had there, I was working at a place that partnered with Apple and would fix iPhones and MacBooks and stuff like that. And there was this crazy dude who would come in like every 3 weeks on the dot saying that the FBI was trying to steal his music. And all he wanted was his Rolling Stones music to be on his new iPhone, which was an iPhone that like he stole from someone because like this dude was like on some sort of crazy drugs. But he would open up his phone and he's like, I'm supposed to have the greatest hits album, the live album from 1978, Sticky Fingers, like, and he would go through and name every single album they ever had released. He's like, I'm supposed to have all of them. And I was like, well, they're there. He goes, well, I can't listen to them. Number one, he got his headphones like stuck in the headphone jack, so you couldn't hear any noise. So that's part of his problem. But like two, he would keep going through and deleting it. So there's a way in your iPhone where you can go through and hide a purchase so that you can't find it unless you unhide it. And somehow this dude was going through and every single album that he had bought, he was hiding in his iTunes account so that it looked like he didn't have any music.
Why?
And he was convinced that there was someone trying to hack into his phone and steal his music. He goes, I know this guy a town over. He's always telling me that he's going to get my phone and steal all my stuff. And I'm telling you right now, I know he's doing it. I was like, sir, you are literally hiding your own music. And so he would come in with like $150 worth of iTunes gift cards and rebuy all the music every time. I'm like, you don't have to do it. He goes, well, I'm going to make a new account so this guy can't get into it. But this dude was like, everything he had was covered in like cigarette Ashes, and like
Sounds like you, Jorge.
he also gave plasma all the time, and he was really sick because he was like a drug user. So like he was always coming in covered in bandages from giving plasma. He had like really long like druggy fingernails, and was just like he was just and he would like spit everywhere when he talked, and like we'd have to like clean the whole front area because it was like a biohazard when he left. But he would only want to talk to me. So every time, even if I was at lunch, he would wait there and sit until I came back. I'd have to deal with him. And toward the end of it, I was just like, dude, I can't help you anymore. Like, I'm gonna have to start charging you every time. He goes, oh man, this is bullshit. I don't have to pay. You know, blah blah. The FBI's trying to steal my music, and you don't want to help me, and blah 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 blah. And he threw this whole fit, like knocked down a bunch of stuff from our front area, and then he never came back after that. But like from that point on, I was like, I'm never listening to the Rolling Stones again because this dude completely ruined it for me.
God, I don't blame you.
But I will say the podcast has brought me back, and I listen to the Rolling Stones all the time.
Well, a quick word on the Beatles. I really hate when boomers talk about how great the Beatles are. It's like your generation's music's crap. I don't want to listen to that stuff about y'all rapping about just nonsense or singing about nonsense. We had great stuff like the Beatles back then. It's like, dude, they literally sang "I Want to Hold Your Hand" over and over again. I'd rather hear "Come in, Mr. Chico Sick" than that. You know what I'm saying?
That is fair.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I was just thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking of that song. I said, I want to hold your hand. Get out of here. Go join Kelly Olynyk on the sideline and sing that.
But yeah, it's just another thing. I think we might start to do this every once in a while. I want to mention a smaller band that I just heard on NPR the other day. That's right, I listened to NPR.
I do too.
Nice.
I think I sent you guys this song yesterday, but it's a band from Austin, and I'm sure they could use all the love they can because the Austin music scene's kind of been quiet since March. So the band's name is Tomar and the FCs, and the song I want you to go listen to, I can't play it because of copyright reasons, but it's called Innocence. It's a very good song, and I was thinking about reaching out to these guys and seeing if they would let us use their song for our podcast intro because it was pretty dope. I really liked it. But if you can go check out Tomar and the FCs, they're on Twitter, they're on Spotify. They had an album come out this year called Rise Above, and they got a couple other albums. I think you'll like their music. It's good music. But George, you got anything you want to recommend to anybody?
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna. You guys have anyone who's listening, and probably you guys as well, have probably heard their music because they just got a contract to play for Miller Lite and Dos Equis. But this artist is called Khruangbin, Khruangbin. It's a little weird name, but it translates to flight. And this band, I really like them. It's mostly instrumental, but the guitar player is just absolutely fantastic. He gets his music inspiration from all parts of the world, and you can hear this in his riffs. Mostly, I think he got his one of his riffs for their famous song, which is called Maria También. I think he got that riff from an Indonesian folk song. And it's just such a particular riff, and they're just a cool band. They're very, I would say, off the path kind of, but with the bassist, and I think the drummer, because it's only the guitarist, the drummer, and the bassist. I think that both the drummer and the bassist were in Beyonce's former church in Houston, so they're also a Texas band in a way. And yeah, it's just great music. And like I said, they have little instrumentals on a Dos Equis commercial, and I think on a Miller Lite commercial, which you probably see when you're watching NBA or NFL. It's like a little pool thing where the Miller Lite's floating. That's Khruangbin playing in the background. It's very soothing music.
That's awesome.
That's a good artist, and I'm glad that they got the money because they're in those beer commercials. But yeah, check them out. Like I said, my favorite is Maria También. Like Maria, like the name También, like saying two
Also.
in Spanish, and it's a good song.
Yeah, we will. George, if you'll send me a link to their Spotify or anything, we'll tweet them out later today.
Of course.
But yeah, and then just a little bit of a throwback too. This is an album I'm playing nonstop for like the last probably month and a half, 2 months. Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. I've been listening to that on repeat. It's classic. If you're not really into jazz, I don't think you have to be to like this album. It's great, right, Jorge?
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of the classics in jazz. I agree. My
It's,
personal favorite's Coltrane, but like you and I have said before, Eric, kind of like at least the gods for me, and I guess gods, quote unquote, in jazz are John Coltrane, Miles Davis, probably Louis Armstrong or Charlie Parker for me.
Yeah. Well, and Coltrane actually plays sax on that album. And,
Yes.
And Bill Evans on the piano. Bill Evans is just he's I think my favorite jazz piano player. He's classic. But yeah, if you never really been into jazz, you don't think it's for you, I just turn that album on. It's really good. Personal favorite song of mine on there. I love Blue and Green. It's probably one of my favorite ones on that album. But it's nice and soothing. You can sometimes when I'm cooking some dinner, I'll throw that on, have a beer. Very enjoyable evening. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. Cole, you got anything you want to recommend to anybody?
I do not listen to a lot of music. I mostly listen to podcasts, but there's a band I really like that I've been listening to, and they're called Peach Pit. It's alternative rock. They haven't released a new album in 2 years. They had a new single recently, but they have an album called Being So Normal, and the first four songs on that album slaps very hard. If you're into alternative rock or anything like that, I think Peach Pit's the band to check out. I'm not really very knowledgeable in music, or I don't listen to a lot of music, so kind of out of my domain, but I know what I like, and that's one of the albums I like.
Cool.
The band is Peach Pit.
Yeah, send that over to me, and I'll tweet it out later. Also, just maybe someone we can have on the podcast in the future, but another Texas band that Cole introduced me to. They're out of the DFW area. They're called Meach Pango. Kind of like peach mango, but reverse the two first letters. Meach Pango. They've got
Good
two
ska
albums
music,
out.
ska rock.
It's great. It's it made the pop punk high school kid that I used to be very happy when I listened to it. It's good music. They're good guys. So shout out to them. Maybe we can reach out to them and have them join us for a conversation sometime. But
they even have a tromboner.
Hell yeah, they do. But yeah, that I just we hadn't talked about music, and something that Jorge and I talk about a lot, so I thought that might be interesting to talk about. But Cole, let's throw it on back to you for this week's Rank Dat.
All right, gentlemen, are you ready? Drum roll, please. Today's category for Rank Dat is going to be dipping sauces. I know our listeners and most Gen Z, millennials, Xers, I feel like boomers aren't big into dipping sauces, but that's not our target demo, so them. Anyways, but anyways, what are you boys' top 5 dipping sauces? I'll start with you, Jorge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for choosing me because of the dip. Let us not forget that classic
song. You put
song
your hand up on my hip, then you dip, we dip.
With me. Thank you for that, Cole.
Thank you for getting that song stuck in my head. Thank you, George.
Of course. Shout out to Dip.
Shout out to Mitch Mitch loves the cheerleaders in that video. Let's just say that. Anyways.
Okay. I guess number 1 dipping sauce probably has to be for me honey mustard. Can't go wrong with
mustard's good.
Honey mustard is a great dipping sauce. Number 2, I gotta go. I don't know if you can count this as a dipping sauce, but I really like the sweet and sour sauce that they put. That's a good number 2 for me.
You count that as sweet and sour sauce at a lot of places.
Yeah. So I really like sweet and sour. Number 3, gonna have to go with maybe some marinara. Does that count? Can we count that?
Yeah, you can count that.
Yeah, you can like dip marinara or mozzarella sticks in that. They give you a dipping sauce at like Sonic or something like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with marinara. Number 4, I guess ranch, because you really can't go wrong with ranch sometimes, especially with French fries, and especially if you're getting them from Wingstop, those taste the best with ranch. Number 5, I guess it's gonna be a tie between either a chipotle sauce or probably, this is a tough one. It's a tough one to say. I'm probably gonna go with some blue cheese.
Pretty good list there, Jorge.
Yes, thank you. A little unorthodox, but I like my dipping sauces like that.
Mind if I slide in real quick?
Slide in.
Well, number 1, I'm gonna have to go with I like buffalo sauce a whole lot. Like hot sauce or buffalo sauce. Like if they don't have hot sauce at a place, I'll get buffalo sauce and vice versa. But buffalo sauce, I'll put that as number one. Number two, like you said, for your number one, honey mustard. Honey mustard is very hard to beat. It goes well with chicken. It goes well with French fries. I do not put it on burgers. I do not like it on burgers that much, but it doesn't taste bad on them. I mean, it's a good dipping sauce. Number three, I'm trying not to go specific to a particular restaurant, if that makes sense. But this one's kind of different. I really like Jimmy John's ranch because they make it with the cherry peppers. Like I've never had ranch like that anywhere else before because it's kind of spicy. But Jimmy John's ranch is number three, and then number four. God, this is a very difficult subject because I love dipping sauce, but I'm also gonna have to. I guess barbecue sauce. Actually, I'm not the biggest fan. I'll say that for five. Barbecue sauce is good on burgers and it's good on some things, but number four, sriracha sauce.
Yes.
Sriracha sauce is awesome. Whether it's the mayonnaise based one, which that's not my favorite, but if you go to like Wendy's or something, they have the mayonnaise based one where it's orange and it's more of like a chipotle like sauce. Those are good. And then if you have the traditional actual sriracha sauce with the cock on the bottle, and it's in Vietnamese, that's a very, very good one too. That's my favorite. But that's number four. The number five, I guess, just because it's like ubiquitous and it's everywhere. I guess barbecue sauce, just out of default. What about you, Mr. Eric?
So number one, I'm gonna go with ranch, and here's why. You can use it on vegetables. You can use it on French fries. You can put it on a chicken sandwich. You can dip your mozzarella sticks into it. Dip tater tots into it. I mean, it's pretty. You can use it for anything. Hot wings you can put in there.
It's versatile.
But here's the thing. I don't like shitty ranch. Like if it's too like for example, Arby's and Wendy's, they use the same ranch and it is garbage. It tastes rancid. It's not good. But places like Buffalo Wild Wings, and they have the best ranch ever.
Or like even Jason's Deli.
Yeah, Jason's Deli is not bad either. And Hidden Valley Ranch is okay, but if you're gonna get like something from the store in a bottle, Kraft Classic Ranch is the way to go. It is the best.
You read the Ken's Ranch?
It's good too. But the Kraft one, I don't know what it is, but it tastes as close as you can get to like a restaurant's ranch. Like it doesn't have like the weird kind of preservative aftertaste that you get sometimes from a bottled ranch. It's very good. So I'm gonna go with ranch for number one. Number two, I think I've got to go with sriracha, just because I use it on everything. Use it on rice, use it on chicken. Sometimes I'll even put it in a quesadilla if I don't have any other hot sauce. Put it on nachos sometimes. It's very good. Number three, this is sort of a broader category, but I'm going to say like Hispanic hot sauces. And so I don't mean like salsa or picante or anything like that. I'm talking about like your Valentina, your Tapatio.
Yeah.
There's one specifically called the brand I think is El Yucatan or something like that. I butchered the name because I'm white, but they have this green. It's like a habanero sauce, and it's this tiny little bottle, and it's awesome, and it makes me cry every time I eat it because it's so hot. But it's really, really good. I also use that on everything. Especially like you make some nachos or like that's really good. Number four, this is
ranch
very
being
white
your number
of me.
one was
Sriracha. Yeah. Well, going back to sriracha, my number two for a second. The sweet and spicy sriracha from Chick-fil-A is also very good.
That is good.
It's not like a classic sriracha, but it's still good. I like to use that. So my number four is going to be ketchup, but specifically Whataburger ketchup because it just tastes better.
The spicy Whataburger ketchup.
That too.
Game changer.
Spicy ketchup is no. I need to try that.
You can get it at Walmart. I think you can get it at HEB. I've never seen it at like Tom Thumb or Kroger or United or Albertsons, but I know you can get it at Walmart and I know you can get it at HEB, and it's incredibly delicious. It's pretty. It's not like sriracha spicy, but it's almost that spicy.
I like that
because the ketchup makes it sweeter.
I don't know if it's because I'm just like stewing, but like the spicy or something is the better.
I agree.
Like I put the red pepper flakes on all my food. I put hot sauce in there. Actually, I need to go get more hot sauce today, so I'm glad we're talking about it. But yeah, Whataburger ketchup and spicy ketchup number four. I mean, that's the only ketchup I really buy in my house most of the time if I can afford it. Not that it's that much more expensive or anything, but it goes good with everything. And then number 5, again, I'm going to be specific with this one, but barbecue sauce. And when I say barbecue sauce, I don't mean like the the KC Masterpiece ones that you just like, or like, this the really generic ones you can buy at the store. I think that stuff is too sweet. It's got like fake barbecue flavor in there. I just don't really like it. It's like ketchup with like
Sugar,
a couple other
more
different
sugar.
flavors. Yeah, and I just don't like it that much. I mean, I'll eat it, but it's not, Sweet Baby Ray's is okay. But I'm talking like specifically like you go to a nice barbecue restaurant and they've got that really very thin sauce
That's spicy.
that's spicy. And there's a particular brand that I really like. And actually, Cole, do you remember Harold's in Abilene?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, so their sauce was always special. So I found out recently that they actually sold the recipe or a similar recipe to a local business in Abilene. I think it helps. It benefits a place that takes care of disabled people. But it's this barbecue sauce. I think it's called Absolutely Wild or Absolutely Mild, depending on if you get the hot or the mild one. And it's got this horse on it. But anyway, it's made in Abilene, and it's Harold's recipe for the barbecue sauce.
Oh, nice.
And you can buy it at the store. I mean, it's the same price as other barbecue sauce, but it's like that really nice thin. It's got a lot of pepper in it, a lot of spice. But I use that on everything. I use it on burgers at home. I make some tater tots. I'll make some oven roasted potatoes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think those are my sauces.
Good list, boys.
It's nice.
Well, does anyone else have anything else they'd like to mention before we end this episode?
Getting back to the glory day. Just saying it.
I do have breaking news. Tyron Smith's going to be back in the game today, Cole.
That's good news.
Yeah, I mean we're playing the Browns, so hopefully we beat them. But anyway, well I guess it's time to kind of wrap things up before we go. Just want to mention a few things. We now, since the last episode, have made an Instagram account for the Intramural Champs. It is the same handle as our Twitter, which is Intramural Champs, but Champs does not have an A in it, so it is CHMPS. We're pretty active on there. You'll see some funny pictures. Maybe we'll post some throwback pictures to when we were in college. Maybe we'll do a couple of Photoshop pictures like I did earlier this week. Those seem to be pretty popular. We're also on Twitter at the same handle as our Instagram. We post news updates and different things there, like when we release the podcast. Yeah, and George and I will share stuff on Facebook and our own Twitters. Cole also shares on his own Twitter. So we're trying to be active on there. If you're listening and you want to reach out to us, best way to do it is through Twitter. If you have any questions, if you have any comments you want to make, if you want us to cover a topic, or if you're one of our friends and you're interested in maybe coming on the podcast, let us know on Twitter. Best way to get a hold of us. Also, this week we started releasing shorter clips of the podcast. So if you don't want to listen to the what?
And nudes.
Oh yeah, if you look at Cole's Twitter account, you'll see lots of nudes of him. Not all of them tasteful. Just a warning there.
Sam's a great artist.
But yeah, we started releasing shorter clips. So some of our segments kind of broken up. Our interview with young Daniel last week, that is a good one to listen to. But there, some of them are just 2 or 3 minutes. Some of them are maybe 20 minutes. But if you want to listen to us and you maybe don't have the time, or if you'd like to share, maybe one of your favorite segments you heard us do with some of your friends, it's a good way to do it. But like always, we are available on Spotify, on our YouTube channel, and other podcast platforms. Still waiting on the Apple Podcast account verification to go through. It's taken a long time, but we will get there someday. But I think that is it. So unless y'all have any closing comments, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Let's just say that I hope this week is a very good week.
You know what, Cole? I'm gonna agree with you there. I hope this is a great week. Coming up,
looking forward to Borat 2.
I'm looking forward to Borat 2 as well. Maybe we could all watch Borat one day and review it on here.
Yeah, here's a question for everybody. Would y'all be interested our listeners, would you be interested in us doing some videos together? Maybe reacting to different things or anything like that. Let us know. Maybe we could even do something on Twitch where we do something live. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But if you've got any suggestions, let us know. But until next time, everybody, thank you for listening to the Intramural Champs podcast, and we'll be back later. Thank you.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Au revoir. I like to ride my bicycle.